Sports Talk with Greg Ballard. Thank you for joining me. Week 11 NFL picks and tidbits. Let's get at it. Start with Buffalo traveling to Miami. Spread right now, Dolphins at -1.5. It's a suddenly hot Miami Dolphins against a suddenly not Buffalo Bill team. Two teams going in opposite directions right now, in particular these last couple weeks where Miami has been impressive and Buffalo the opposite of that. We're going to start our Week 11 picks with Miami -1.5. For me, if you look at this Buffalo Bill offense, for almost the first half of the season, this Bills offense a gaudy 30 points per game scoring, and we know that some of that the defense was scoring as well, but the Bills averaging 30 points per game, very, very impressive for the first half of the season. These past 2 weeks, both losses, Buffalo 18 total points, and we remember earlier in the season how dynamic that defense was, creating huge turnovers, and that has not been the case these last couple weeks. In fact, the Bills have given up 7 turnovers these last 2 weeks versus only 2 takeaways, so they've really struggled. This is a Bills team that is susceptible to second half collapses. When you look at their 4 losses, they've been outscored actually 70-21 in the second half of those football games. Well, enter a Miami Dolphin football team who is suddenly hot, and in particular, suddenly hot in second halves. They're actually putting full football games together these last couple weeks, and in particular in the second half, as they've won their only 2 football games of the season these last 2 weeks, and they've outscored those opponents 27-3 in the second half. So I see a team that's on the rise and getting it done in the second half versus a team plummeting and being really dominated in the second half. And as well, what I really like here, one of Craig's keys in this game will be, if you look at the Miami Dolphin number 10 rush defense versus this Buffalo Bill team. If I'm looking at this Bills team, I think that their best opportunity is on the ground, through Fred Jackson. This is a Miami defense that's going to be tough to run against, and for the Bills, problematic here because this is an offensive line in Buffalo that is really banged up, and that list is growing as we speak. In fact, this week, the Week 11 game at Miami, their center, Eric Wood, will not play in this football game, so another injury, another makeshift offensive line, a combination this week for the Buffalo Bills. I think they could be in trouble. We're going to take the home team, Miami, -1.5. That's where we're going to start our week. Let's move on, take a look at another game that I like. I love the Chicago Bears this week as well, -3.5 against the San Diego Chargers. This is a tale of 2 teams. We talked about Miami and Buffalo going different directions. Well, wow, this one here may be dictionary definition of going separate direction. The Bears, 4 straight W's to completely put themselves in the playoff hunt in the NFC, versus the Chargers, 4 straight L's to really put themselves in peril in the playoff race in the AFC, in particular in their own division, the AFC West. The Bears, we know that in the Mike Mertz and Jay Cutler era in Chicago, their issue on offense has been that offensive line. That offensive line has been offensive, but in these last 4 games, again, all wins, Cutler sacked just 5 times total. They usually give up 3 or 4, often 5 or 6 sacks per game. 5 times total these last 4 weeks for this Bears offensive line. Very impressive. Both teams with an absolute laundry list of injuries right now. If you look at the Chicago Bears, Julius Peppers and their very promising rookie offensive lineman Greg Karimi, both out of practice this week. They hope to have them both play this weekend, but both missed practice this week. Guys like Devin Hester, Matt Forte, Lance Briggs, all of them at practice, yes, but limited because they are all banged up. And the list of San Diego Chargers that are banged up, I mean, it's a laundry list. Believe me, they got about 8 or 9 guys that are nicked up, that are in and out of practice this week. So a lot to be concerned with there. Bears at home as the hot team at 3.5. I do like them in this football game. For me, Craig's key in this game, the matchup to look at will be San Diego's running attack versus the Bears' rush defense. You look at San Diego's backfield, very tough. I mean, a lot of potential there, a lot of talent, a lot of potential with a Mike Tolbert, with a Ryan Matthews, against the Bears' rush defense that started the season absolutely terrible, just terrible rush defense for the first several weeks of this season. But lately, these last couple of weeks, the Chicago Bears team has turned around that rush defense. It's been stout, it's been significantly more aggressive and effective than we've seen it earlier on in 2011. And this is a Bears defense that is back to their old tricks as far as creating turnovers versus a San Diego offense who's in the Norv Turner era, you may say, back to their old tricks as well, as they are turning over the football left, right, and center. So in my estimation here, a lot to like for the Chicago Bears this weekend. So take a look at some other games as well. Oakland travels to Minnesota. 45.5 is the over-under there. I'd be taking a serious look at the over myself. I think that the Craig's key in this one little piano, the piano keys. Carson Palmer and Denarius Moore, that combination there. Sure, Carson Palmer, not a lot of mobility, no doubt. He could be a stationary target for Jared Allen, so we know that the Raiders are going to have to address that, absolutely. But this is a Minnesota secondary that will be Antonio Winfield, done for the year now. That's recent, and they'll be missing a Viking secondary that will be without their top 2 cornerbacks. So I just think Denarius Moore is going to have a chance to be a continued favorite target for Carson Palmer. Is Palmer a quarterback now with the Raiders that is getting more and more comfortable, more and more familiar with this system, and getting better and better each week? I think we would agree there. And Minnesota playing at home, it's going to have an opportunity for Adrian Peterson to probably go over 100 yards. He may take it to the house once or twice as well, so I could see Minnesota scoring some points here, certainly more than the putrid 7 they put up last weekend against Green Bay. I would be looking at the over in this football game myself. As we said, Antonio Winfield out there, they're going to have to rely on Benny Sapp. Benny Sapp, you remember, he spent some time with Minnesota. Viking fans will remember him a couple years ago. He was most recently in the NFL cut by the Miami Dolphins in week 1 of this season. So he's been out of football for the last several weeks, but so many injuries to that Minnesota secondary that they brought in Benny Sapp. So I would be looking at the over there. Another football game to look at here. How about the Monday nighter, folks? Kansas City versus the New England Patriots. Spread right now, Patriots minus 14.5. A lot of points to lay, folks. You may want to take a look at laying those points. I mean, wow. This is a quarterback matchup of Tyler Palko, that's the collective who, versus Tom Terrific versus Tom Brady and the Brady Bunch. I mean, clearly should be no competition here. Tyler Palko has, in his NFL career, has thrown all of 13 touchdown passes as he will replace the injured Matt Castle. Palko has played before. If you've seen him in preseason, then you've seen this guy. I mean, he is a turnover machine, interception after interception, fumble after fumble. I mean, this one has the potential to be really, really ugly. Tom Brady and Rob Gronkowski lately. You talk about Craig's Keys. Man, these guys have been special together lately. I'll look for that to continue as the major matchup this weekend. They've developed even a better BFF lately these last several weeks than even a Brady to Welker. I don't know if you've seen Brady to Gronkowski. He has been on fuego lately, been really a special combination. I look for that just to continue myself. So if I was taking that game, and it's a lot of points, there's no doubt about it, but I think you would look at New England there. That has the potential to be really ugly, folks. Another football game that has the potential to perhaps be ugly. Washington Redskins at home to the Dallas Cowboys. Spread right now, Cowboys minus 7.5. Boy, if you're out there and you can trust the Cowboys on the road at 7.5, then you're better than I am. I even like the Cowboys in this game. It's just a trust thing. They have been on fire lately. Yes, absolutely. This is an offense that has been playing extremely well these last couple weeks. Rookie DeMarco Murray has been on fuego. Tony Romo has been on fuego. These guys are moving the football, punching it in the end zone. They're not turning the ball over. They've been extremely impressive these last couple weekends. I love Des Bryant. I think he's a stud in the making wide receiver. Certainly maturity issues there, but it's at that age, we've seen that before. That will improve, I'm sure, and the talent. I mean, wow, stud in the making wide receiver. So a lot, in my estimation, to like about this Dallas offense. On the other side of the ball, this is a Dallas defense that does struggle against the running game, absolutely. But the question is this a Washington running offense that right here, right now, can take advantage of that? And I think we would be on the same page here that I really don't know that it is. I really don't think that it is anyway. You look at Ryan Terrain getting the starts and getting a lot of carries versus Roy Halou. Halou's the only one that's putting up numbers, folks. So why Shanahan is continuing with Terrain? I mean, only he can answer that. For me, I think we're getting further and further away from the whole idea that Mike Shanahan is some sort of genius, especially some sort of player personnel genius. This was a Redskins team, folks. It's in free fall mode. We remember that 3-1 start they got off to, hot start. Then came the bye week. Coming out of the bye week, folks, 5 straight losses for this Redskins team. I mean, UGLY, folks. In those 5 football games, in fact, the Redskins have led 0 times. Haven't even had a lead the last 5 weeks, folks. I mean, really a free fall going on in the nation's capital. How long will Shanahan last there? That's a whole side story, of course, going forward. You look at in these 5 losses as well, the offense getting 10 points per game. I mean, Shanahan has staked his reputation on Grossman, who looks like will start this week, and Beck. I mean, wow, slim pickings as far as I'm concerned. I would take a heavy look at Dallas myself. Again, as I said, a trust thing. I don't necessarily trust them to have them as an official pick, but certainly leaning towards Dallas. It should be a blowout victory for them this weekend. Last game that we'll take a look at here, the Arizona Cardinals traveling to San Francisco. Week 11 Sports Talk with Craig Ballard NFL look. The spread right now, San Francisco minus 9.5, and there's a lot of interesting things going on here. If you're a San Francisco 49er fan, I mean, wow, stand up, folks. Wow, how about that defense right now? How about that front 7 in San Francisco, folks? Extremely impressive. Number 1 in the league versus the rush, number 1 in the league for points allowed, number 1 in the league for turnovers created. I mean, Jim Harbaugh's defense is, as we're saying, particularly that front seven, really getting it done. Even the secondary is creating a lot of turnovers. It's been really, really impressive. A matchup here at Craig's key in this one for sure. We will take a look at the matchup of, it should be Carlos Rogers most of the game, but they may go San Francisco. We've seen at times go DB by committee, mix and match their cover guys. But obviously, if you're playing an Arizona team, you have to account for Larry Fitzgerald. And I know on the surface, you may say, well, it's going to be Skelton again as the quarterback, so are you really that worried about the passing game? Well, believe it or not, folks, the answer is yes, you would be. Skelton, first of all, has led them to 2 straight victories. He's 2-0 in 2011. And second of all, if you look at Larry Fitzgerald's numbers with Kevin Kahn and that production versus his numbers with Skelton and that production, Fitzgerald, that stud wide receiver, you know I love Fitz, he's actually more productive with Skelton. So no, this weekend, I mean, Beanie Wells would have to have a huge game. Yes, Arizona's going to have a complete game, absolutely. But this passing game, Skelton to Fitzgerald will be very, very interesting, of course, this weekend at San Francisco. One thing, the last thing that we'd say about San Francisco here, Alex Smith has been very, very impressive this season. Jim Harbaugh, certainly a quarterback guru, has done a fantastic job. He's been very, very efficient, I think, in 2011 and leading this team to a lot of victories, so we're impressed there. And just one more final note on this football game, it looks like Frank Gore will play in this football game, so big again for San Francisco 49er fans. There was a couple NFL picks and tidbits on some Week 11 games. Sports Talk with Craig Ballard, thank you for joining me. We will see you again soon, folks.